but yeah, so I was interested in her um both because I think that that commitment to argument and engagement with people who might not agree with you is is unfortunately pretty unusual on the left,
Yeah.
and I think you share that commitment given the wonderful title of this show. um, and um, and also I think that that sense of play and fun, um, and um, and aesthetic, like her videos look beautiful and they're also really funny.
Yeah.
So for so many reasons, you know, I think I think she's fascinating, and that's why I wanted to talk to her.
But hold on, is that really all there is to aesthetics? Marxist economic analysis? Or the SJW version that makes everything about race and gender?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, what you're saying actually pretty closely mirrors my experience, like discovering her stuff since I think back in, um, back in about 2018, like everybody else in 2018, 2018, yeah. I was,
Yeah.
yeah, it all flows together. But anyway, I had like back, like everybody else back then, like I think I spent way too much time thinking about Jordan Peterson.
Daddy.
And a lot of that was just like petty irritation because of like people that I knew, like in my life, in school, members of my extended family, who had followed under the spell of that bullshit, and so I wanted to push back against that, and so I was in the course of frequently posting about that on social media. Somebody directed me towards Natalie's Jordan Peterson video, which is really like a perfect entry point into what she does, because it's very like it's her at like it's both like it's very rigorous, like in the argument, like you could tell that she's a philosophy graduate school dropout, that she sort of stayed for long enough to get really really good at taking apart arguments, but then decided to but then actually got off of the academic treadmill and went off to do this much more useful thing. And then but it's also just her at her sort of most most fun and playful, like and irreverent, like which is also something that you talk about in the article, the extent to which that was a conscious choice.
Boy, this is a lot of explaining. It's so much explaining, it's triggering gender dysphoria. I better put on some longer nails. Nails? Is that all womanhood means to you?
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, it's nice some people aren't talking as much about Jordan Peterson.
yeah. That's probably a positive,
And actually, so I mean, one of the other, I mean, it's funny because when you do like a profile for a magazine like The Nation, like there sort of has to be a timely reason for it, and the reason, and so in the case of that story, the timely reason kind of changed over time because I just kept on not getting to interview her. So initially, our somewhat lame premise was something like we wanted to hear more from her about or that everyone's talking about cancel culture and but she has something particularly good to say about it, or it was something to do that was sort of it was somehow wrapped up in those issues. But then as time went on and things changed, like it was actually more about here's this person who really rose to the occasion of the early Trump era to really create something politically productive and cultural, which was, and that was not a good time. 2017, it was not a good time for the left. It was not a good time for our culture. I mean, it was not a good time for the internet. I mean, and so
maybe most specifically, it wasn't a good time for YouTube.
it was not a good time for YouTube, and so she really grew out of the wreckage of YouTube, of all of that larger picture, but of YouTube specifically. And and now with I interviewed her Trump's last week in office, and so it was really kind of it seemed like an interesting time to take stock of her career as a particularly famous YouTuber, because as she points out, she's been uploading things to YouTube since 2008, but she really became a famous YouTuber in this incarnation in around 2017, and on. And so that was sort of the piece, that sort of Trump administration piece of her career was what we really wanted to take stock of. And a lot has changed, and her channel has changed with it to some extent.
Yeah, and that is really interesting that she was uploading stuff to YouTube that long ago, like for a couple reasons. Like, most obviously that she did something that I think is kind of hard to imagine, putting yourself through, which is that she was, because I know, like, the early videos, right? She was not Natalie Wynn yet. She transitioned, on YouTube, where everybody could see, which I mean, I sort of think about how much it bothers me if I see, like, a comment where somebody says, "Oh, Ben is saying, a lot," or something like that, and how much that gets into my head. And I'm imagining something that personal and intimate, like, happening when everybody can see sort of all the stages of it going on.
Yeah. And she talks about that in her videos, that it's almost sort of a, I mean, on the one hand, she's kind of inured to criticism now, to some from that experience, because it's like transphobes and fellow trans people, even some fellow trans people will make snarky comments on your transition and how it's going or how it's not going, and it's kind of like, I mean, women certainly get a lot of, like, cis women, like myself, certainly get like, mean comments on our appearance by people who don't appreciate other things about us. But it, like, obviously hurts my feelings, but at the same time, it's not the same as being part of a group whose whole existence is marginalized and questioned so much, and then the comments on your appearance are really a political attack on you. And and I think that's and so by going through that, I mean, in some ways she's kind of the she's kind of the perfect internet warrior for our age, because now when people say, "Oh, I just don't agree with you or don't like your ideas," she's very steeled for that.
Yeah, right. That's, I mean, in fact, so I remember after that, that Peterson video, which is one of the, which again, like is just this sort of perfect combination, because she's doing things like, making fun of him for equating, modern, postmodernism and Marxism, and and things like that. But, like, it's being done in a really funny and irreverent and obviously extremely theatrical way, and makes makes it really effective. But, like, after that, I don't remember. So there was I think you actually referenced this in your piece, that because I remember watching some video that she did, responding to a I don't know, possibly fictional like internet Nazi called the Golden One.
If the Golden One didn't exist, I would have to invent him. I need him. And maybe you need me too, Lars. I'm the moon to your sun, the Brunhilde to your Siegfried. As you become more of a burly mask, I become more of a silky femme.
Oh yes, I think he's real.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
As I was thinking back to that, I was like, I thought so too, but I was like second guessing myself. I was like, no, that's too ridiculous. That can't possibly be a real thing.
I mean, that's the thing that we always have to keep in mind, right? With Nazis is like they're like what they believe and the things that they do and what they want for society is horrific, but they are also extremely ridiculous.
Right.
So that's again like making Natalie kind of the perfect person to take them on. I mean, like they are absurd. Yes, there literally is this guy called the Golden One, and he is a Swedish bodybuilder. I mean, that's absurd. But yeah, I mean, and so she's great at sort of zeroing in on those aspects of right wing culture that are and their tie into these sort of these sort of over the top fantasies about masculinity and what it is and whiteness. I mean, and
yeah, and in some of those videos, like she does this thing that's really that's I mean it's kind of like even I think it's like I think if somebody described it to me in the abstract, like I think, wait a second, that'd be a weird thing to do, which is that like some of those early videos, or whatever, at least early in Natalie Wynn is an extremely famous person, not necessarily early in the history of reporting things on YouTube. She does, she actually like puts all this time into debunking arguments made by like actual Nazis and white supremacists, which is the sort of thing that, like, I think even I would probably tell people, it's like, no, come on, pick your battles, what you do that? You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
It's D, which means away from, and the Latin word genus, which means race or kind. So, to be degenerate is to no longer be of your race or kind. And if you think this already sounds pretty fashy, you've been paying attention. The current use of the term degenerate crystallized in the 18th and 19th centuries, when Lamarckian proto-evolutionary biology, bourgeois disgust toward the urban working class, and a growing colonialist awareness of supposedly inferior ethnic groups gave rise to degeneration theory.
No, it's true, and we're sort of we're sort of and it kind of goes against a lot of things that we're told, like just
Right.
like don't even engage with those people, and I think it's like when you're in an organizing campaign, or you're just like helping out, knocking on doors for something, like, and they will always tell you don't talk too long with people who are totally on the other side, because
People who agree with lies,
right,
yeah.
you don't want to waste all your time with them when you could be reaching people who agree with us, but they just haven't discovered us yet. And like that is just in general very good advice,
Right.
just for the left in general, right? Just don't spend too much time with the people who are absolutely on the other side. On the other hand, I mean, what I think that that taking the opposite tack, I think that Natalie has been able to be effective because she really has been in the world and inside much of the mindset, and also the culture of a lot of these guys. I mean, I'm going to say mostly,
Like
not exclusively,
surely overwhelmingly guys, yes.
yeah. I
Right.
mean, and she's I mean, I think that it's interesting that she came out of philosophy too, right? Which you probably know a lot more about than I do as a philosophy person.